So I'm going to explain the effects of atmospheric deposition on forest ecosystems in Asia based on the EANET project activities too in 2022. Forest ecosystems provide various ecological services such as provision of nature resources, groundwater recharge, carbon sequestration, and prevention of disasters. Long-term atmospheric deposition may have disturbed functions and the resilience of forest ecosystems. According to the experience in Europe and North America, a recovery of forest ecosystems from acidification did not progress as expected, and the problem remains even after enough reduction of SO2 and NOx emissions. Meteorological variability and extreme weather, such as changing precipitation patterns, high temperature, and sudden heavy rains may also affect the recovery process. Here you can see the interaction of the forest ecosystems and the sulfur and nitrogen compounds. The various effects are considered. So far, no clear effects on biota has been identified in Asia. However, phenomena suggesting disturbance of forest ecosystems by atmospheric deposition were observed in the EANET countries. Recently, in fact, with decrease in atmospheric deposition, symptoms of recovery from acidification have been observed in the EANET countries. A field observation catchment scale is a useful approach to evaluate the effects of atmospheric deposition on forest ecosystems. And also, beside the on-site catchment analysis, impact assessments on the regional scale have been contributing to reduction of the emissions historically in Europe. So ACAP, as a network center for EANET, has been promoting studies of acid deposition effects on ecosystems from the catchment scale to the regional scale. Since 2022, the studies have been conducted as one of the project fund activities. So now I would like to introduce some results. Here you can see the joint research project in the EANET countries. And today I would like to introduce the results in these 4 catchments. Today's topics are 3 topics, and at the first I would like to talk about the changes in atmospheric deposition in the EANET joint research sites. Here you can see the climatic plots in the study sites. In the Thailand, clear dry season can be seen from November to February. And but at Kajikawa in Japan, high precipitation can be seen through a year. In Komarovka River in the Far East Russia, very cold and low precipitation can be seen from December to March. Here you can see the trend of the atmospheric deposition in Sakura site in Thailand. And sulfur deposition decreased for the observational period until 2014, while no trend or a slight increase in nitrogen deposition was observed. Actually, the recent EANET data showed slightly higher deposition in the late 2010s. And during the observational period, we found that the precipitation pattern changed with showing the high contribution of the late wet season precipitation. In the next, I would like to show you the atmospheric deposition in Japanese sites at Ijira and at Kajikawa. Both sulfur and nitrogen deposition have been decreasing clearly, and then which suggests the improvement of the national or regional atmospheric environment. Here you can see the atmospheric deposition in Kamaraka River in the far east of Russia. The total sulfur and nitrogen deposition, which was estimated as a wet and dry deposition, show no clear trends, but while rainwater pH is increasing. There we can see there's some transition period from decreasing to the increasing for both of sulfur and nitrogen. And also, some precipitation patterns changed, showing the sorry, the slide is a little bit broken. Anyway, the precipitation pattern also changed, with showing the high contribution in the warm season of precipitation here. There, I would like to summarize the key findings in atmospheric deposition. In saccharide, as you can see, the atmospheric sulfur and nitrogen deposition have been decreasing in the sites in Thailand and Japan, while no clear trends or recent increase was observed in the site in the far east Russia. So currently, improvement of atmospheric environmental quality has not necessarily progressed in the same way in these forested catchments in different climatic zones. In the sites in Thailand and far east Russia, the precipitation pattern has been changing. So the question is, how have the forest ecosystems responded to these changing atmospheric environment? So in the next chapter, I would like to talk about the different responses of forest ecosystems. Here you can see the stream water chemistry at the Sakharat site in Thailand. As you can see, the pH decreased, suggesting acidification, and then slight increase in the sulfate and other major ion constituents. However, opposite phenomena were observed in the consequent drought years. Suddenly, pH increased. And changing precipitation pattern is suggested to have controlled the phenomena, enhancing the material discharge in the middle or late wet seasons. And also, you can see the here the peaks of the sulfate concentration. Such peaks are very have had a clear relationship with sulfur deposition in the beginning of the wet season. So which suggests some sulfur retention or release cycles in the ecosystems, once retained in the ecosystem and released later. The possible mechanism of the material dynamics in Sakharat site is like this. For dry season, high concentration of the gaseous and particulate matter and high dry deposition may occur. And then due to the high evapotranspiration, the materials will be accumulated on the soil surface or plant body surface. And in the early wet season, by washout of air pollutants, by fast rains may occur, and such a fast rain will accelerate the mineralization of the materials in the soil, and plant can uptake the water and the ions, and sulfate will be retained in the ecosystem. But still, discharge is very limited. And after that, in the middle or late wet season, by continuous rains, acceleration of the water and ion discharge will occur. And then this kind of the mechanism can be considered, and then by increase of the contribution of light wet season precipitation, the further acceleration of the water and the ion discharge, which resulting in the acidification. So this kind of the mechanism could be considered for the saccharide sites. And for Japanese site, this view graph showed stream water chemistry at Ijira, Japan. In the Lake Ijira catchment, in former days, acidification and nitrogen saturation due to climatic anomalies can be seen. Since mid-1990s, pH decrease, nitrate concentration increased very high, and a high concentration of sulfate can be seen. And after that, the recovery from acidification or nitrogen saturation can be seen since mid-2000 with increase in pH and decrease of the nitrate concentrations. And in the case of Kajikawa site, pH and alkalinity increased with decrease of sulfate concentration. There are very clear recovery from acidification can be seen. But the nitrate concentration increased gradually, suggesting progress of nitrogen saturation with forest maturation. We consider that this phenomena is related to the forest management. And this view graph showed stream water chemistry at the Komorowka River, Far East Glacier. The pH decreased, sulfate and nitrate concentration increased, suggesting acidification. And the increase of warm season precipitation contributed to effective discharge of materials from the forest ecosystems. This is the comparison between the Ijira, Kajikawa, and Komorowka River. As you can see, the very different trends with nitrogen deposition and stream water nitrate concentration. At Ijira, recovery from nitrogen saturation can be seen, but Kajikawa not so clear. Recovery is not so clear. And at Komorowka River, even by the small changes of the nitrogen deposition, the very large effects on the nitrate concentration can be seen, which is caused by the large effect of precipitation patterns. So I would like to summarize the key findings of ecological response. It's very complicated. So the answer for the question is recovery from acidification and or nitrogen saturation has not necessarily been observed with decreases in atmospheric deposition in forested catchments. So even if the atmospheric deposition decrease, some acidification or nitrogen leaching progressed. And then these are related to the other factors such as changes in precipitation patterns and forest conditions or forest maturations. So how meteorological conditions are related to the long-term atmospheric deposition? This is the next question. Here, this is the image of the next research necessity of the legacy pool study. So far, by the cumulative atmospheric deposition for decades to the century, the pollutants are accumulated in the ecosystem, which can be called a legacy pool. So by the extreme weather events such as heavy rain may disturb the discharge processes and outer elemental cycles in forest ecosystem. So disturbance of the legacy pools of atmospheric deposition may cause sudden discharge of pollutants to the stream water, reducing the resilience of forest ecosystems. So now we have already started the research activities for this issue. Finally, I would like to talk about the importance of impact assessment on the regional scale. Here you can see the image of the current condition of the atmospheric deposition and then different types of the forest ecosystems and the research on these issues. By the individual observation or literature survey or existing index or country scale trials, this kind of the site-specific data have been accumulated. However, we need temporal spatial data of, on the atmospheric deposition and regional impact assessments. And the regional reactions will be assessed for their environmental management. And also, such a regional assessment may contribute to characterization of the respective areas. So such kind of the methodological studies should be promoted in the EANET region. Here you can see that a trial on the national scale in Japan. The cumulative acid deposition for the period from 1980 to early 2000, it can be seen that the high precipitation area, high deposition area could be identified. And by comparing the geological or soil or plant conditions, relative risk maps of the surface water acidification were developed like this. Black dots represent the points where the river water acidification was observed. So this modeling work and observational work are very well harmonized. So the national monitoring data contributed to the verification of the results. Here you can see the trial on the regional scale. By using a critical load approach, which was utilized for the regional assessment in Europe, possible risks of acidification and eutrophication, nitrogen saturation were assessed on the regional scale. And then you can see there's some high risk area. The results were compared to the EANET monitoring data, including the data at the Komorovka River. And methodological studies on the impact assessment on the regional scale should be promoted in cooperation with other research communities, such as the modeling community, Mix Asia, or some others. And I would like to summarize my talk. Improvement of atmospheric environmental quality has not necessarily progressed in the same way in the forest catchments in different climatic zones. Recovery from acidification and nitrogen saturation has not necessarily been observed. Changes in seasonality, especially precipitation pattern in different climatic zones, may have an important role in the recovery process above. And the site-specific data, including EANET observational data, should be compared and characterized by comparison with regional assessment trials for the future development of the regional network. Thank you very much for your attention.